Hey everybody, it's Carter here in beautiful Vancouver, Canada. The sun is just starting to poke out from some dreary clouds that we had going on. And we are working on the RZ 500 motor again. After doing the balance shaft modification, you can see that we've got our drive gears back on. Remember to put these drive gears back onto the crankshaft that they came off of. They can be identified, the ones for the lower crank, the steel gear, this gear in behind this black coated gear, as they call it in the manual, has little notches in the teeth to, I guess, indicate that that's the one that goes on the lower crank. So make sure those go back on the crank that they came off of. So we have everything set up here. We have our gear to drive the transmission oil pump. We have our idler gear here that is driving our injector pump. And we've got our shift shaft in place. We have our thrust washer in place here. This is the first thing that goes on before the clutch basket. So we're going to be putting the clutch basket on here today, and that's the video. I asked my lovely wife, Dawn, if she wanted to join us for this video and maybe do some of the video work. She said that she'd rather ride the motorcycle into oncoming traffic than help me with this video. So I guess that's a no from Dawn, and it's just going to be us today. So it's going to be a pretty quick video. If you're with us before, you know that we've done the balancer shaft modification, and we have the gear on the upper crank now, and we have the timing mark on the crankcase, and we have this crankshaft's mark lined up on the crankcase. And now we need to put the clutch basket on, and while engaging these two drive gears and this idler gear and this transmission oil pump gear, all have to be engaged at the same time with the clutch basket. These two gears being driven by this smaller gear on the back of the basket, and of course the drive gears that are driving this part of the basket. And this all has to go together without moving those timing marks. So sometimes it goes, and don't forget your washer. Your washer goes first. Sometimes this goes quickly and sometimes it doesn't. So, and you can see that these smaller gears move independently from the actual drive gears. They're there to prevent backlash in the gears. So make sure you leave these two nuts loose when you're doing this so that you can move those smaller anti-backlash gears while you're putting this clutch basket on. So while you're pushing the basket forward, you can turn this gear here to make sure that you're lining up on the back of the basket. And then it's just a matter of a little bit of wiggling and coaxing. So here we are with it in place. And you can see that my two timing marks are still lined up, and the clutch basket is now being driven by the two drive gears, and it itself is driving the gear for the oil pump, and also this gear over here for the injector pump. So we are now ready to assemble the clutch. So remember your washer And then your clutch hub goes on. Followed by this locking fold over tab washer and the nut. Okay, sorry, I was having a little bit of trouble with these threads, but I finally got them, got the nut tight, and now we're just going to bend over that locking washer. Just like that. Okay, and now we are ready to start installing the clutch rings, the spring rings, and also the steel plates and the friction plates. We'll start out with a friction disc. Followed by a ring, a metal disc, another ring staggered about 40 degrees, another friction disc, another steel disc. You'll notice these steel discs have marks on them where the friction disc was sitting. That's how you can tell a motor was sitting in a guy's basement for 25 years. I'll replace this clutch soon. It's good enough for the purpose of this video, but we will replace it. And then we're going to stagger another 20 degrees or 40 degrees or so. I think that's just to give a little better spring, because if you lay these all down with the tabs together, they all lay together and their waves don't do much separating. So it doesn't have to be super accurate, I don't think, as long as they're staggered a little bit. You basically just want a ring between each steel plate. So that when the clutch is disengaged, there's something to spread the plates apart. It makes it much easier to shift into neutral at a standstill. And then they say on this last ring, make sure that one of the tabs is between these two marks. And that's, of course, to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the inner hub. Okay, and before you button things up here, you've got to put your clutch push rod in, followed by the ball bearing, and the small push paddle. It has a small O-ring on it here, so I'm going to use a little assembly lube on that. And we'll use some where those two make contact. And now you can see this mark here has to line up between these two marks. Just like that. and spring. Spring bolt. Times 6, tighten down, and clutch cover can go on after that. It's being cleaned, and it's going to go out for a paint job because it's got some chips and some corrosion on it. And once we come back, we'll put it on, and it's going to be nice and easy because as I showed in an earlier video, I already have the gasket adhered to the mating surface. So there won't be any screwing around with the gasket. It'll just be a simple fit. All right, we'll come back when we're doing.
Say sweet things to me.